group over another. It encourages everyone to learn, to grow, to celebrate differences, dispel misconceptions, and really, it encourages empathy and for us to find the commonalities rather than only the differences. So how do we do this at the library? Well, we collect diverse materials. We collect diverse materials representing many different points of view. We highlight and celebrate those books and resources. We celebrate, for example, Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Asian Pacific Islander Month, Banned Books Week, Lunar New Year, Ramadan, Diwali, and other topics that are important to our community. We also highlight these areas with topic guides of curated materials that you can find through our website to help you find books on a certain topic, such as books for youth focusing on disabilities and challenges, or books for Transgender Awareness Week. We also do it by developing programming that reflects the diversity of our communities. Again, the purpose being we want to reflect what our communities are made up of. These programs start discussions, they provide learning opportunities, they perform the function of being a forum for marginalized individuals and communities to share their stories, their history, their challenges. And again, hopefully this allows us all to see our similarities and not just our differences. Another way that we encourage equity is by trying to remove barriers. We provide, as a public library, access to public health programs. We provide access to job and intern placement programs, especially for young people. We provide access to educational opportunities for people of all ages. And we do so by removing economic barriers to learning and growing. I'd like to point out, we actually offer a way for adults to earn an accredited high school diploma. We have resources for job seekers that includes online job coaching, online interview coaching, and so forth. So you might wonder, what is the foundation behind how we do this in the public library? Well, we have the American Library Association. Like many professions, such as the American Medical Association or American Bar Association, this is our professional association, and it supports our work. The goal is to provide leadership and promote the improvement of library information services and to ensure that we have the tools we need to ensure access to information for everyone. Library Bill of Rights is our foundational document. This is the document to which we refer in our work to halt censorship and book banning and to uphold the concept of intellectual freedom. It basically affirms that all persons should have access to the library and its resources, regardless of their origin, age, views, or background. And moreover, that the library's acquisition of resources should be inclusive, meaning affirmatively seeking out materials that should be collected to be representative of diverse viewpoints and which should not be excluded because of the origin, background, or views of those contributing to their creation. As well, libraries should challenge censorship, and it's our responsibility to advocate, educate, and protect people's freedom to read and their right to privacy. This is somewhat what we're doing today, isn't it? So we have 2 documents at the library, and all public libraries should have these documents. And this is first of all, our collection development policy, which outlines the process and criteria for selecting materials. This is a tool that we use for defending how we collect materials, why we collect materials, and explaining what we're collecting. As well, we have what's called a reconsideration process. This is the policy and procedure that will help staff deal confidently and fairly with anyone who expresses a formal concern about content in the library. I'd like to point out that the collection development policy is very thorough. Here at SDPL, our policy is 13 pages long. We'll talk a little bit more about that in regards to Coronado Public Library later. So, intellectual freedom. So let's talk about this. It is the right of every individual to seek and receive information from all points of view without restriction. And why is this important? It is the basis for our democratic system. We expect the people of this country to be self-governors, but to do so responsibly, our citizenry must be well informed. And libraries provide the ideas and information in a variety of formats to allow people to inform themselves. This is why it's so important. And because the First Amendment gives everyone residing in the United States the right to hear all sides of every issue and to make their own judgments about issues without government interference or limitations. The First Amendment allows individuals to speak, publish, read, and view what they wish, worship or not worship as they wish, associate with whomever they choose, and gather together to ask the government to make changes in the law or to correct wrongs in society. Please note that the First Amendment only prevents government restrictions on speech. It does not prevent restrictions on speech imposed by private individuals or businesses. So, for example, Facebook and other social media companies are allowed to regulate speech hosted on their platforms because they're private entities. And in the context, I'm speaking as a public libraries. I know that schools have different mandates and different rules. So again, keep this in mind. This relates to public libraries here. I'd also like to note that the First Amendment applies to all freedom of all speech, except for there are a few categories of unprotected speech. Those categories include obscenity, child pornography, defamatory speech, false advertising, true threats, and fighting words. However, according to the First Amendment, deciding what is and is not protected speech is reserved to courts of law. Courts of law decide that. I can't tell you what those things are. You can't tell me. The library can't tell somebody. Only courts of law. So let's think about this. It's kind of interesting. So what's the relationship between censorship and intellectual freedom? So although they might not realize it, would-be censors, in expressing their opinions and concerns about materials in the library, they are exercising those same First Amendment rights that librarians seek to protect when they confront censorship. Their right to voice opinions and try to persuade others to adopt those opinions is protected. However, your right to view those materials, to make up your own minds, are also protected. So it's kind of ironic that they're using they're using the same First Amendment to complain, and then that we're defending ourselves with. So, and anyhow, this is a dangerous time for readers and public servants. And this is why you should care about book banning and attempted censorship, because it contradicts the First Amendment and it violates every person's right to speak, to publish, to read and view what they wish, and to worship or not worship as they wish, or associate with whomever they choose, and to read anything and make up their own minds. Where it is not okay is when people take action to enforce their opinion on other individuals or try to restrict anyone's access to those resources. Okay, so let's go back to our story. So then what happened? Well, a few days later, word got out via an article in the San Diego Union Tribune, and the support started pouring in. And when I say pouring in, I am not kidding. The phone was ringing off the hook. I was on the phone for days with people calling to support the library, to express their outrage. We were receiving delivery of books to replenish the display. I had a stack of books on my desk. You can see there they are. KPVS did a news segment with our library director. The New York Times did an in-depth journalism article. Even the German magazine Die Zeit called to ask me some questions. A local group decided to hold their own event called PQ Takes Pride in Our Library, an LGBTQIA plus safe space and free community event at which over 100 people attended. It was extremely gratifying. Not only that, but people gave donations to the library's foundation board. Um, and when I say thousands of dollars, I mean thousands of dollars. A significant sum was raised to be used to provide for more materials and support programming for LGBTQIA topics. And kindly, the city agreed to match those donations. So it was quite a windfall. I don't think it was what the protesters expected. Here's some of the sentiments. I really love the one on the upper left. Please accept this donation to help keep young minds growing and learning and to help persuade older minds to open up to new ideas. Um, like I said, it was very heartwarming. And we learned a lot of lessons from this experience. First of all, don't be complacent. Just because you aren't hearing complaints doesn't mean you're hitting the mark. Just because you aren't hearing complaints doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing.